And what you'll have is you'll have, starting from the building the foundation up for this, you have a piece of cloth. Piece of cloth is very important. The colored rice, you make that. You take a little bit of food color. Yeah, put a little bit of water, and then just yeah. Yeah, enough. But maybe everybody gets set up, and you kind of know what to do, so you can make sure everybody has rice after they get set up. So the first step here is actually getting yourself set up with this cloth, because we'll be holding the mandala and offering rice on it. So the cloth is to kind of create a little catchment area for rice. And so you can tuck it in or do what? You putting it under your book on the table in front of you kind of holds one end of it down. So that's step one in terms of setting things up. If you have a robe or something like that will go over it, that it will in turn keep your pockets from getting filled up with. Yes, you can pretend like we're kids at the dinner table, just like we used to be. So, let's see. Now, where did I put my rice? Here it is. Yeah, yes, we'll just go through this all kind of step by step. And now everybody's got themselves set up with a catchment area for the rice, and you all have a pie plate or a mandala. You know, something. You know, everybody's okay, good. And then if you're going to be counting, you want to have a small hand mala. Okay. That's good. Smaller is good because you'll be counting with the same hand that you're holding the plate. What's that? Yes, this is a lot like rubbing your stomach and patting your head. This is part of the advantages that you're offered with the challenge of this. So these are the main things, and some scented water, or I'm not going to use the wild rose oil that Dora loves because it's so pungent that we might wind up with sensitivity issues tomorrow. Still, people are going, "Whoa, where'd that rose oil come?" But I also have here, I have a little vase with a few strands of saffron in it. So these are all kind of parts of and I think I've now gone through the list of things, and Diane is modeling one of the cloths that she has sewn for this purpose. So we have mandala plates, we have cloths like that, we have the Torch of True Meaning. We have mandala plates for both the offering mandala and the mandala for the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So I showed how to make that before with the purifying the base and then making the 5 piles of rice so that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, all the objects of refuge, can be inhabitants while you're doing your mandala offering. The other thing that that we have also, and this is for people, just to let you know that this exists. This is a diagram of all the 37 points of the mandala offering, and that's also here in the bookstore. Very helpful to have a map of the territory. Yeah, helps to have a map. This one. So, as with all the other practices, if you follow the outline, they all begin more or less the same way. The one thing that's different in this practice as opposed to the Vajrasattva practice or the others is that there is something to do before you begin, and that's this. The first thing on the list there is preparing the drupe or attainment mandala. And it's very nice if you have a place where you're set up with a practice place to have this, so it really becomes kind of a central piece there while you're doing this practice. Of course, if you're on the road or some other place, then or it's not convenient, then it's not. You don't use that as a reason to not engage in the practice if it's otherwise convenient. And so then, with the other practices, you begin with the preliminary recitations, the prayer to the root lama and the crown of the head, reminders of the 4 thoughts, going for refuge, developing bodhicitta, creating that big-hearted space of bodhicitta for the practice. If we want to do Dorje Sempa practice, a little bit of that, that's good. Otherwise, we go on to just go directly into the mandala practice. So that would mean turning, if all things are synchronized, it would mean turning to page 25. And this is where it starts to get interesting. You have books and pages, so it'd be in the Wonder text, Phil, not the, yeah, there you go. So the first element in the practice is basically, you could say it's mentally reiterating what's done with the drupe mandala. It's visualizing the sources of refuge, the 3 jewels and the 3 roots in the palace in front. So the whole practice is done in the presence of all the objects of refuge. This is a critical piece of the context, how we go about doing the practice. Then the first thing that we do with the mandala is, if you have you don't need to use the pure water, the scented water for that, but it's okay. You recite the Vajrasattva mantra one time while cleaning the base, going clockwise 3 times while you recite the mantra. So we've created the pure ground for the practice. This is the base, the pure base for the universe. And then there's and we've recited the part that described the field of accumulation or the presence of the refuges. So then we, flipping over to page 26, then the next thing to recite is the Vajrasattva mantra, which we just recited. And then in the practice, we'll present the 37 feature mandala first, and then do some attended prayers, and then later on we actually do the recitation where we do the offering of the mandala, where we accumulate the 1, 2, 3, 4. So at the beginning we're doing the 37 point offering, and that begins with anointing the ground. The Om Vedra Bume Ahum Shi Number Double Wanchin Saji, and that's basically Sanskrit and Tibetan. And then the base is the golden ground, powerful and completely pure. So we've sprinkled the base. And now this is where we begin with some rice, counterclockwise with the Om Vajrareke Ahum. We make a circle around the entire outside, and we're imagining this this wall or this range of iron mountains that surrounds this vast oceanic expanse, and that's kind of the surrounding. Then the next item is in the center. And go kind of breaks in the chi chagrikor yugari wawi korwai usu, and then ri jiapo rio chora. In the center is the king of mountains, Mount Meru. So that you put a little bit of rice in the center while holding. And the whole point is for this to all go falling off. So the notion that you're trying to keep it in one place is you're pushing rice uphill. The rice should fall off. You're just letting it go. So you make them a little drop the rice for the in the center is the king of mountains, Mount Meru, and then away from you is to the east, then Shar Lupapo, that's to the east is Lupapo, and then to the south, going clockwise, Lo Zambuling, to the south is Zambuling, Nu Balangcho, to the west is Balangcho, Zhang Draminyan, to the north Draminyan, and each of these has a description. In the east, Shar Lupapo is a half circle white, and you can look at you can get all these descriptions, but there's elements, and then there's blue, and there it's kind of a trapezoid shape, well, it's four-sided, but kind of a truncated four-sided figure for the blue. There's circle, the continent nearest us is a red circle, and then a green square. And then repeating, then there's subcontinents, and where we went around four cardinal points, and then next to each of those cardinal points we put put two piles, one to the right of it, and then back counterclockwise. So we have subcontinents, and so it's Ludong Lupag, Ngayadong Ayachen, Yodendong Longchodro, Dramiyendong Dramiyendidang. So those are all the subcontinents, and the main things. You're going around clockwise, placing the main continents, and then you go back to the beginning, and then you go just to the right, and then clockwise back, and then just clockwise of the main continent, and then back. So it's a little bit of work to learn these gestures, but that's the cardinal points, and then to each side of the cardinal point slightly clockwise, then skip over it, back over, back. And then we get on to the qualities of the ideal universe. And then we're going back to the cardinal points. Rinpoche Rizwo, which is a mountain of jewels. And then off to the right, going clockwise, Paksamjiteng, the wish-granting tree. And then we have the wish-granting cow, Dojeba, the grain which grows without toil, Mamo Pai Lotok. And then we have the precious wheel, which is again at the cardinal point, Kolo Rinpoche, the precious jewel. What's that? Should be. Yeah, it's the cardinal. You're going back to the east, the cardinal point. Kolo Rinpoche. Yeah. Kolo Rinpoche. And then Norbu Rinpoche, the jewel. Then we have Sumo Rinpoche, the precious queen. Lumpo Rinpoche, the precious minister. And then going in between Lungpo Rinpoche, but we're still going clockwise in the corners, but we've shifted over to the in between the cardinal points between east and so Lungpo Rinpoche, precious elephant, Tacho Rinpoche, precious horse, Makpo Rinpoche, precious general, Titsimboe Bompa, the treasure vase. Then we're back to the cardinal points for the 8 offering, first of the 4 offering goddesses. Gemoma, goddess of laughter. Trengwama, goddess of garlands. Luma, goddess of song. Garma, goddess of dance. And then intervening in between the cardinal points, starting again just off from the east. Nitopma, goddess of flowers. Dukpoma, goddess of incense. Nangsalma, goddess of illumination. Drichapma, goddess of scented water. And then we have the sun and the moon. Nima Dawa, and that's diagonally from just beyond the goddess of scented water. So we haven't gotten all the way back to the cardinal to the east. It's Nima, and then diagonally from that across to Dawa, and then going back just sort of the 2 o'clock position for the precious parasol, Rinpoche Duk, and then the banner of victory, diagonally across from that, Chokle Nampar Java Jaltsen. And then we just think of, that's the official 37 points, and then in this, then we just add more as we recite. In the center, a gathering of the sublime possessions of gods and humans with nothing lacking, clearly manifest in numbers greater than the drops of the deep and vast oceans. I offer everything to the assembly of lamas, yidams, buddhas, and bodhisattvas, dakas, dakinyas, and dharma protectors. Through your compassion, please accept them. For the benefit of beings having accepted, grant me your blessing. And then we have the short mandala, which is the one that will recite the same form, not at this point, but this is the 7-point mandala, which is it starts in the beginning with Mount Meru and goes to the cardinal points in clockwise, Mount Meru, and then does the sun and the moon as the center, the 4 cardinal points, and then the sun and the moon. And that should be in one of the diagrams that we have. So the base is anointed with scented water and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, the 4 continents, and the sun and moon. Through this offering conceived as a Buddha feel, may all beings enjoy the pure realms. And then we continue with prayers. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who abide in the 3 times in 10 directions, Vajra, Master, Lamas, Yidams, and their retinues, all Sugatas of the 3 times without exception. To you, sublime ones, I offer with devoted mind the 4 continents and supreme mountain, 100,000, a million, myriad number of these brought together in one mandala. Through your compassion and love, please accept them, and having accepted them, grant your blessing. Then we take a little pinch from this, and Om Mandala Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Samaye Ahong. Sort of make a real, fill the universe with that gesture. Yeah, and then at that point you actually let it go, and you let the mandala go. And then there's this brief prayer. By offering this excellent and pleasing mandala, may obstacles on the path of awakening not arise. May we realize the intentions of the transcendent ones of the 3 times, not being deluded in existence nor remaining in tranquility. May we liberate all beings limitless as space. And then this is where, if we're doing counting the mandala practices, then this is the page 35 is where we're doing this. And we're reciting the same 4 lines over and over again while offering the 7-point mandala. So this is where we would need to have this. And so you obviously need to have memorized this at some point, otherwise it's too much. So the gesture again is everybody together. So you've let it all go. Sort of you go ahead and let back there. Okay. So we're starting with a clean plates. So in the center once, and then away from us, which is to the east. Then the clockwise 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And then for the sun and moon, that's like 10:30 to 3:30. And then you wipe it off, and you do it again, and you do it while reciting. So just to get used to that gesture. And I always recited this in Tibetan, but that's because that's just the way we were doing it at that point. But there's no need to do it that way. So if you like, you certainly can recite it in the English. The base is anointed with scented water and strewed with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountains, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. Through offering this Through this offering conceived as a Buddha field, may all beings enjoy the pure realms. Or in Tibetan, Saji Puja Chucha Medukan, Ula Linji Miti Gambali, Sanji Jinda Mete Pore, Jogan Namdakshin La Chupa Sho. So, in the center, then away from you at midnight, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10:30, 3:30, or 4:30. So maybe while you're doing this, just pause for a second and then just imagine the basics, some basic aspect, whatever aspect of the mandala visualization that you can just kind of quickly bring to mind, so that you just have some sense of that and some sense of the universe, some sense of the presence of the sources of refuge, and just mentally make offering for a moment, so that you don't get too lost as you're learning this. It's easy to lose track, so it's good to every once in a while just come back for a moment, and then you can go back to cultivating it. So does everybody have feel like they have the basic gesture down, starting from the center, midnight, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10:30, 4:30. And then you clean it off with your wrist, or kind of let it fall. Then you count 1. Everything goes flying. A clicker, yes. Any counting method is entirely fine. So if you have, so then let's just so we've done this, and we'll just continue through this piece to get the flow of it. Then we continue on with some prayers to conclude this section. We've done the mandala offering over and over again. Then we conclude with the prayers to the assembly of lamas who have fully perfected the 3 kayas. I offer outwardly, inwardly, secretly, and ultimately. In accepting my body, possessions, and all phenomena, please grant the supreme unsurpassable siddhi. Please grant the realization of Mahamudra. And then there's a brief 7-branch prayer. Whatever virtue I have gathered, however minimal, through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, I dedicate to complete and perfect awakening. Having offered all possessions of myself and others who are limitless space, all beings become completely filled with the 2 accumulations. The field of accumulation melts into light, and we become the same essence. And then, as always, dedication. So, does it seem like being able to, if you looked at the instructions, and you looked at kind of the map, and you could gradually get the pieces together. The 37-point mandala is very portable. If you know that, particularly if you know it in Tibetan, and there's enough in there that is, well, the name of this continent is Shar, and then Lupakpo. Oh, well, to the east, Lupakpo, or Shar Lupakpo. It's not such a great difference in whether you're saying something in English or Tibetan. But if you do know it in Tibetan, then when doing an empowerment or participate or the Tara practice, then it's much more, you feel much more like a participant. And then when you're doing the mandala offering gesture, when you're doing that, then and you're able to recite the mandala offering, you can feel much more engaged, or at least you now know what's going on. That's the piece that's happening. And so here we have Mount Meru and the 4 continents. And Eric mentioned something I didn't know until last week, that I'd always thought that the people use the mala as kind of showing the Vajra fence around the universe. But he said, no, it's like you don't offer with an empty hand. You're always offering something. But the gesture begins with the 2 ring fingers together, and then crossing the 2 fingers next, and I forget which one's supposed to go on top of the other, but I'm not sure. But in any case, and then the 2 index fingers just grab the tips of the middle fingers, the little fingers cross, and then thumbs hold those. Thumbs grabbing little fingers. Starting with ring fingers. Just put the tips of the ring fingers together. Yes, just those. And you allow them to kind of come together. Then you just these fingers just cross. And then the index fingers, which are just sitting here, kind of curl onto curl onto the ends of the pointing fingers. There. And then the little fingers just cross, just sort of make them fold out straight. And then the thumbs just grab the end of the little fingers. Yeah. If you break it down, this is like most dance steps. It's easier if you get it left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. And so or if you don't have a mala, you can do it with a little bit of rice in your hand. So you get the Om Mandala Buddha Mega Samudra Saparana Samaye Ahum. And you throw some of that. This is if you're doing this, say this is kind of an adjunct lesson. You do this gesture if you're participating, say in any practice where there's a mandala offering. The 37. What's it?
In the blue book, there's
Uh, yes, yeah, yeah. If there, yeah, any place there's the 37-point mandala offering, this mudra or this gesture is kind of goes along with it. So you always have, to make things complete in the Vajrayana, you have mantra or the recitation, mudra or gesture or the physical presence, and samadhi, the state of mind or the activity of mind. So those are always, body, speech, and mind should be integrated. And so if you're doing, when requesting an empowerment, they're usually able to you'll get lost for a ways. It's similar but not quite the same thing as the part that goes right after the 37 practice. But then it comes down to the Om Mandala Mudra. Then you throw the rice. So any questions about the process? Diane?
After we built the 37-point mandala, where do we actually offer it?
When Om Mandala Puja Mega Samudra.
So with
Where do we after we built the 37, all the 37, where do we offer it? And if I'm not mistaken, where I've always done it anyway, I'm prepared to be mistaken. Yeah, page 33. Recite the mandala mantra, which is the Om Mandala Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Samaya Ahom. And then you toss a little rice, and then you sweep the rice off.
I have a question. What about handedness? Can we hold the plate in either hand?
According to this, yes.
Oh, good.
But the direction is still the same. No, you need to go back and start over again, Peter. And now you need to do twice as much. Yeah, no, I'm left-handed, but I'm wound up doing it this way. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so if you're using the right hand, then it's just the same set of gestures. But
and so then intermittently pause and
yeah, yes, yeah, and shift from you can shift in terms of the samadhi. The samadhi sometimes could be just allowing the mind to rest on the form of one aspect of the imagined universe at a time, so that you can, maybe it's just the continent to the east, the white half moon, but to allow it to kind of resonate with the sense of the mandala, or any, and the offering goddesses in turn, or any one of the offering elements, you just rest the attention there. But engaging the different aspects, like the perspective of offering the totality of the ideal universe, offering all the aspects of how we conceive of an ideal environment, allowing those things to just fill the space of this. The universe is vast, so there's plenty of room for all the things that we could possibly imagine. All the beautiful things we've ever seen, all the beautiful experiences that we've had, all the virtuous activity that we've ever witnessed, all these things. So just resting the mind on one element for a while is very good. And sometimes, again, whether it's the outer or the inner, to look, to check who's offering. And then sometimes you just rest. Carry on. We can also just do the practice of cultivating the sense of the sense of the dream aspect of the reality of just this could be a dream. That moment to moment, the moment to moment in the dream, reality is fabricated and held together moment to moment. And though we believe it to be contrary in our day-to-day life, it's exactly the same in that regard. The reality that we experience as something happening to us is actually a moment-to-moment construct. It's just held together in the same way that it's held together in a dream. So we can regard the mandala as dreamlike. Regard the dreamer as dreamlike. Linda.
So I have a comment and a question. Well, the comment's kind of a question too. It feels like this is like preparation, letting go for death as we are dying. Is there any relevance there?
Any cultivation that we do where we actually connect with that is, yes, it's true. But it's not said, oh, this is, we're not telling you, but this is really only about preparing for death. But pretty much all our practice, you could say, oh yes, all our practice is in some way. All our practice is actually, all our practice is cultivating our capacity for meeting all kinds of impermanence. The instant to instant death that goes on that we ignore actually be the end of significant, you could say, significant bardos in our life where certain things appeared to be stable and then the stability fell apart. Offering. And the more we go to that place, let's see if I can find exactly the words that Trungpa Rinpoche used. The more we can find this aspect of we offering over and over again, letting go. By doing so, we discover natural dignity and richness. We see that we are intrinsically rich. We have basic richness because we are capable of giving lots of gifts, and we have a lot to give because we have nothing to lose. If we had anything to lose, we would have lost it already in the previous stages of practice. So at this point, we have nothing left to lose. And because we have nothing to lose, we have lots to gain.
Well, my second question just got answered, I think. What would be a carrying practice for this practice?
There are a variety of specific things. And I had the happy opportunity to engage in one of them over the past several days. Anytime you find anything of beauty, you're just carrying the sense of continual offering. Just offering. You're like, that smell of the pine trees, that's one of my if-onlys. If only I could smell that, I would be so happy. I smell that, offer that. If only I could see the mountains again, offer that. And there's, when we're doing the inner offering aspect, where we're offering my, anything that we think of as mine, kind of, this is the one thing I couldn't live without. be kind of continually generating the sense of offering with that. The same thing, like offering anything of virtue that we do. Just offer that. We often think of that more like dedication in a certain way, but offering. And Mingyur Rinpoche, he goes someplace where it's kind of clear when you think about it, but you have to be careful about how you approach it. You offer even your negative states, because we hold on to our negative states. We're holding on to positive things because they're helpful. We're holding on to kind of negative states because they help us push things away. We're engaged in. So, but that one is. I think we're all grown-ups. You can see that you wouldn't want to be running around saying, "Well, I'm just offering my anger, so there." You wouldn't want to indulge it in that way. But letting go, it's very easy to see it from the perspective of the letting go. And if we go on to if we add in the aspect of who's letting go and what is it, then it becomes something where we can look more deeply into what's arising. We can, to continue with the dream theme, we can see the nature of the dream of the klesha. And in that that actually that involves kind of a letting go backwards into it without getting caught in it, letting go. So there are a number of, so you could carry sort of an outer and inner or secret carrying as your circumstances and your practice offered the opportunity. Are we there?
It's a start.
Right? That's the there that I was hoping for. Is a good start. So let's turn to the last pages and recite a dedication together. Page 63 in my book, and probably something else in somebody else's book. The one that begins dedication prayers with Gendi Dwa. Yeah, in the very end, 63 or something. Dedication prayers. I dedicate this virtue that all beings without exception reach the undying state of Vajra mind through the ever blissful union of means and wisdom. Traveling the inner Vajra path, may they attain the pinnacle of awakening. By this virtue, may I quickly realize Mahamudra and establish all beings without exception in this state. Through the blessings of the Buddhas who attained the three kayas, through the blessing of the unchanging truth of Dharmata, through the blessing of the unwavering intention of the Sangha, may this dedication and aspiration be fulfilled. Thank you all. So now we get to do the next phase of Mandala practice, which is tidying up. Finding all the places in your book where the rice has accumulated. Yes?